What is up, everybody? So we've got some Kresh action for you this week, man. Yeah, this is I've always wanted to build Kresh, and I may build a different version of Kresh down the road. I would like to build like a graveyard focused Kresh, like that's definitely on my to-do list. But as I was trying to like think of a deck to build for this week, I don't know why, just Primal Surge kept popping in my head, and I was like, I want to build like it was just like on Sunday, I was like, all right, you're gonna build Primal Surge Kresh, and so here we are. We're at Primal Surge Kresh. We're running got a little paper here. We're running 49 creatures in here, so a little heavy on the creatures, and we're only running one instant or sorcery. Actually, we're just running one sorcery in the deck, and that is Primal Surge right there. So let me start off with Kresh, and then I'm going to start off with Primal Surge, and then I'll explain how the Primal Surge Kresh deck kind of breaks down. But yeah, it's pretty much a one-trick pony, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to play. I've enjoyed it. So let's start off with Kresh. So we have Kresh the Bloodbraided. He is Jund colors, which is black, red, green. 3/3 base. Whenever another creature dies, you may put X plus 1 counters on Kresh, the Bloodbraided, where X is that creature's power. So basically, that counts for our creatures and our opponent's creatures. Let's say that a 2/2 dies on our opponent's side. We're going to be able to put 2 plus 1 counters on Kresh. He's going to turn into a 5/5. So when you're building Kresh, you can kind of go with a sacrifice element or sacrifice type theme to where you can sacrifice your own creatures, maybe get a little bit of a bonus from that to pump Kresh. Or if your opponent's doing stuff, you can blow your opponent's creatures up. Say you're running a lot of removal, you can pop them and put a bunch of counters on Kresh and kind of swing it in. So Kresh is kind of like Gitrog in a way that where you can, he's not as powerful as Gitrog the Gitrog monster, but there's just so many different ways you can go with Kresh. You can go over control route and just make a really big Kresh, or you can just go Jank City, and that's what I'm doing right now. So, as far as this go, we have Kresh. So, now we got Kresh out of the way, so we've got Primal Surge. If you're unfamiliar with Primal Surge, Primal Surge says exile the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you do, repeat this process. So, the way we've got it set up, we have no instant or sorceries in our library, so basically, as soon as we get to 10 mana, we can cast Primal Surge. We're just going to flip the top card of our library and put everything out onto the battlefield. And there's a stopping point. If you want to just Primal Surge for 50 cards, you can do that. But I've got it set up to where you can basically win the game by drawing out in your entire library. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It feels a little cheap sometimes, but hey, man. You're here to have fun in Commander. If you can get to 10 mana and cast a Primal Surge and win the game, then, that's Commander right there. It is a one-trick pony, but it's a lot of fun. So, we're also running 49 creatures in here to take advantage of the Primal Surge. So, and some of those creatures have to take spots of normal instant or sorcery utility lands that we normally do with them. But, as far as the creatures go, so let's kind of break down the creature spread we got going on. Let's start off with the Mana Dorks. You're running your normal 1 Mana Dorks, Lana War Elves, Tree Speaker, Elvish Mystic, promo art Elvish Mystic. Check that out. Looks pretty cool, man. Birds of Paradise, Arbor Elf. We're running Bloom Tinder. Once you get Kresh down, it taps for 3, or if you have any other black creatures out there, it taps for 2, or worst comes to worst, just tapping for 1. Fauna Shaman. Fauna Shaman's actually, I need to get this over here into the tutor spot. There we go. Yeah, then we've got the Secure Tribe Elder to get into one of our basic sources, Sylvan Caryatid and the Druid over here. This is actually a pretty good card. If you're playing against any type of Super Friends type deck, or they've got any type of Planeswalker, just tapping it's going to deal 1 damage. You can redirect that to a Planeswalker. So, it's a little mana heavy. It's red and green, but having that 1 damage tacked on, you get it down early. You can get in easily. If you're going to turn 10, 9 or 10 points of damage with the Druid right there. I think I don't know if I recorded it, but I kept my opponent's Planeswalker down pretty far with a Druid. Just popping him down. But yeah, those are the Mana Dorks. We've got some Burnished Heart in there, so sacrifice Burnished Heart. That's going to be 3 counters that go on to Kresh. So even though it's the Primal Surge focus, there's still like on the back end. Like if we can't get into Primal Surge, if we can't find a way to find Primal Surge, we still have a very bare bones Kresh deck. And Burnished Hearts are really good because as soon as you sacrifice it, you can get 2 counters on there, search for 2 basics, put them on the battlefield taps. Outside of the Mana Dorks, we're running a Blood Artist package. So as part of the Blood Artist package, we're running Goblin Bombardment, we're running Viscera Seer, Blood Artist, and Soquara Deathkeeper. So basically what these is, and as I explain all these creature packages, I'm explaining it in that we've flipped our entire library with Primal Surge. When you're playing online, our opponents tend to scoop really quick, but if you're playing this deck in paper, there's different lines of play with the Primal Surge. So we do have the blood. Let's say you're playing it's a Pillow Fort deck and you can't swing in to attack. You can definitely close the game out with all your creatures. Goblin Bombardment is a sack outlet. So you sacrifice a creature, it's going to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. And then whenever that creature dies, you can get a Blood Artist trigger. So it's basically set up to where you should be able to win the game whenever you cast Primal Surge, no matter what the board state is. Even if you flip your whole library, maybe they can make you draw a card. You don't have a card to draw, you lose the game. But other than that, no matter what it is, you should be able to win the game. And the Blood Artist package is one of the reasons why you can win the game. Outside of the Blood Artist Sacrifice package, we are running the Kiki Jiki Zealous Conscripts combo. So if we draw into it, we can get it up and running. I tend to not opt to go for the Zealous Conscript Kiki Jiki combo just because, it's Commander. We're here to have some fun. But if we have to, I will go for it. But most of the time, I'm looking for other lines of play other than going with Zealous Conscripts. Now, as far as our utility creatures, we've got a little Savage Vent Maul, a little pricey, but we can swing in and get that 6 mana right there, especially if he sticks around for another turn. We're also running Acidic Slime, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. Shriek Maw as a little bit of removal. We got the Chew over here for artifacts, Flesh Bag, and Merciless Executioner for the sacrifice. Dualcaster Mage, it's kind of like a spot removal instant speed. We're hoping that our opponent casts some type of spot removal and then we can cast Dualcaster Mage in response and copy it. Or it's just in there just for value, man, just to have fun. Reclamation Sage, we've got Mold Shambler, kicking the Mold Shambler, destroy target non-creature permanent. So basically it's kind of Mold Shamblers in here for the permanents, or if we need to deal with a problem like a troublesome land or enchantment, or just really any non-creature permanent. But mainly in here for Planeswalkers, we need to blast them. The Disciple of Bolas. Disciple of Bolas is in here for our card draw. So let's say we get Kresh up. I got Kresh up to a 10-10 one time, and then we got down Disciple of Bolas, gained 10 life, and drew 10 cards. So Disciple of Bolas is really good in, sacrificing something we don't need to get into a little bit extra card draw, just because it is kind of. I'm crossing those off as I go. It's a little hard to get the card draw going when you literally have no spells. We do have Sylvan Library in here to kind of dig a little bit, but I never got into Sylvan Library when I was playing, so yeah, that happens. After our utility creatures, we have our tutor creatures. So the number one Uno is going to be Runescarred Demon. Runescarred Demon at 7, and we're running a lot of mana dorks in here, so we get down Runescarred Demon, search your library for a card, which is pretty much always going to be Primal Surge, and then you have a 6/6 flying blocker. Just right there. So, Runescarred Demon. We have Brutalizer Exarch. So it enters the battlefield. It's a way we can, has 2 abilities. So the ability that you can use the most is search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it, shuffle your library, and then put that card on top of it. So basically, we're going to use that to usually search up Runescarred Demon, so we can then, in return, search up Primal Surge. It has a second ability to put target non-creature permanent on the bottom of its owner's library. So in a roundabout way, it's a little bit of a way for us to kind of deal with an artifact or enchantment or just anything non-creature permanent. We're also running Tamio's Journal. It's a little slow. We are running Tireless Tracker in here. So if we get into a bunch of clue tokens, we can get down Tamio's Journal and sacrifice 3 clue tokens and search our library for a card. If not, you can pop it down. Maybe we've got a couple early mana dorks down, and then we can use it to search. Rings of 3. We got Rings of 3 Wishes, so it enters the battlefield with 3 counters on it. Then for 5 mana, search your library for a card. Sidisi is a creature way. We're going to get the exploit trigger for Kresh. It's going to be 4 triggers, 4 counters on him, and then we can search our library for a card. We have Elvish Harbinger. So when it comes into the battlefield, basically it's a mana dork. You can add 1 mana to your mana pool, but at the same time, when it comes to the battlefield, you may search your library for an elf card, reveal it, and then put your card on top of it. So it's that, but mainly you're going to be searching up either Fierce Empath or Fauna Shaman. Usually going to go for Fierce Empath because Fierce Empath says when you may search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 6 or greater. So you can go Elvish Harbinger, put Fierce Empath on top, and then once you cast that, cast Runescarred Demon, then search up Primal Surge. So there's a few tutor lines in here. But yeah, the Elvish Harbinger is in here for the mana, and then also just allowing us to search up Fierce Empath. We also have Yisun, the Wanderer Bard. A little slow, We don't have anything to protect it. We don't have any Lightning Greaves just because we're going for Primal Surge. So if you can get it down and just kind of grind it out with value, like if they don't have any removal, you can get it down, just start grabbing all of your mana dorks and get your mana kind of set up. Excuse me. Get your mana set up, and then and then finally, if you need to, go all the way to 7 with Runescarred Demon. But mainly, just get in Yisun the Wandering Bonder, the Bard, to go for a Fierce Empath to quickly get into Runescarred Demon. And then Fauna Shaman, it's just value. If we get down to Fauna Shaman, we're running almost 50 creatures in here, so we can use Fauna Shaman as a way to just quickly search up a creature that we need. And Fauna Shaman also allows us to, grab some of our utility creatures pretty quick. So pretty good card right there. Now, onto our pump spell. So we are a Primal Surge deck, but if we can't get into Primal Surge, we're also the deck's kind of a Jund ramp slash value creature deck. So we've got stuff like Avenger of Zendikar, we've got Craterhoof Behemoth, and we've got Pathbreaker Ibex. So basically, these are ways to where if we have a nice little creature spread out, let's say we have a whole motley crew of Elvish Mystics and Arbor Elves and Tree Speakers and Varlos, stuff like that, or Tyler's Trackers. So we have these utility creatures right here in Craterhoof, Pathbreaker Ibex, to where we can kind of create a big stampeding effect to kind of win the game with combat damage. So, you know, we're technically all in Primal Surge in that we have no other instant or sorceries, but we don't live or die by Primal Surge. You know, if it gets discarded or it gets countered, we still have a whole assortment of creatures to close the game out with some combat damage. Now, after the pump creatures, we have haste. We have different ways to get into haste. So basically, like the Avenger, like yeah, with the trample creatures right there, once we're ripping them all with Primal Surge, these creatures right here are going to make a lethal board state. Now, they don't have haste, and so this is where Fervor, Mad Rush Cyclops, Anger, and the Hidden right here come into play. So once you flip your entire library, all of these creatures are going to give all of your creatures haste. So when you combine that with the complete board state pump effect, you're going to be able to close the game out and just have tons of damage to bring swinging at your opponent, and they're going to be thrilled. Now, let's say you get in some weird, crazy world to where the Hidden's in your graveyard, Fervor got blown up, and Mad Rush Cyclops is in your hand, and you can't Primal Surge. So if you flip Anger, we have a Sack Outlet and Viscera Seer. So you get Anger onto the battlefield, sacrifice it, it goes into the graveyard, and then you're good to go right there. Like the haste, but yeah, I think that covers it. Pretty much it. Yeah, it's just Primal Surge, and then once we get Primal Surge, we flip our entire library and use these pump effects to get into a bunch of creatures, and then use these haste effects to swing in hot, and have some fun, man. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, you know, this is not your traditional Kresh build, but I don't really have a ramp deck, and I don't really have a pure Primal Surge deck, and I wanted to do that because it's a lot of fun, man. I like setting up kind of interesting, challenging decks for me to try and get an interesting win condition for you. So, and I've had fun. The videos are pretty fun. I definitely ripped Primal Surge off a couple times. I mean, I'll let you see. There are a couple times I got pretty close too. So, but yeah, I think that's it, guys. Yeah, if you, I got a couple videos up for you, so go check them out. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.